So you want to become even more OP compared to last time? Well, the mage build that I showed you is only about to get stronger and stronger. This build will continue where we left off last time and is catered towards destroying the mid game and starts preparing you for the late game. Now we will go to our next main hub of interest, which is the Raya Lucaria Academy, and this place has two main story bosses, so you have to go here anyways. Using my build, you don't really have to worry about a lot and you can progress through the game to get to this part and kill the bosses like they're just random mobs. But the place itself is filled with good stuff for a mage, so it deserves its own section in this video. I would recommend you to just explore it truly when you get here for the first time, but it's really easy to miss out on some of the more important stuff. In the Raya Lucaria Academy you will get two sorcery related talismans. The first one that you'll want to pick up is the Graven School Talisman, which is a great talisman. It's basically going to buff our damage output. Easiest way to get to this one is to go to the Schoolhouse Classroom Grace. Then take a right turn and move upwards while taking the first possible right turn every time till you're exactly here. This talisman is hidden quite well as it's behind an illusionary wall. So go through this illusionary wall and then up the stairs and down the hall twice, and you'll eventually get in a room where you can pick up the talisman. Another talisman that you can pick up here is the Radicon Icon Talisman. It's a really good talisman because it reduces the casting speed of your spells, and it's especially noticeable with some of the spells that take a longer time to cast. To pick it up, go to the Debate Parlor Grace and then go outside, go to the right and then jump off here and climb the ladder and then enter one of the broken windows and you'll find the talisman right here. You can now equip both of these talismans and you will have a nice power spike. When you start parkouring this place on top of the roofs, you'll want to keep proceeding till you're at the house with all the open windows. Enter your favorite window and drop down a level. You're now at the upper level of the church and there are two good pickups here. First of all, go to this entrance and then nuke the guy that's guarding your loot. Loretta Bow's crazy range makes this very easy. At the end is a shiny pickup for you, and finally a staff that might become relevant later. It's the Azer's Glintstone staff. So pick that thing up, go to the other side of this level, outside on the platform, and you'll find this crab with crystals and stuff. Kill it and it will drop a nice Twin Sage Glintstone crown. This helmet gives a whopping +6 to your intelligence and you definitely want to pick it up just for that. Before you leave this place, we also want to pick up the Carian Knight set. Go to the graveyard after going to the Church of the Cuckoo Grace. Keep hugging the right till you're at the bridge, then cross the bridge and hug the right some more till you basically go up, and then you want to jump down the platform right here and you'll see a bunch of weirdos surrounding the set. Pick up the set, and that's pretty much all the main pickups for the Raya Lucaria Academy that we as a mage want to have. Now let's move on to gear, because for armor and gear I've gotten a lot of questions. And even though the Astrologer set looks pretty cool, at some point we will want to change it up, right? Some people have even said that they were still using the Astrologer set at like level 100 due to the lack of finding something better. Well, you might have wondered why did we pick up a knight set as a mage. The reality is a lot of the mage sets in this game are not really that useful for our pure mage build, even though some look really cool and have their unique buffs. And I will make an in-depth video and go over all these sets and explain more in depth what I mean with that and what they potentially could be useful for. But in the mid game, the best thing to do is to get your defenses up as much as possible while staying in the medium load category. This way you'll ensure that you get good defensive stats while maintaining the ability to do the medium load roll, which is much better than the heavy load roll. You do not want to have this as a mage, you'll look like a clown. So essentially what you do want to do is make sure that you do not exceed 70% of your equip load and have the best possible armor that you can get while staying under the 70% threshold. And there's a lot of room to play with this to achieve this. The Carian Knight set is really good for this actually. For example, overall it provides a lot more well-rounded stats compared to the Astrologer set. It's easy to get as you just saw, and it makes you a lot more resistant to physical attacks, which are in a lot of areas in the game much more prevalent compared to sorcery based damage. Don't wear the helmet though. For the helmet we will want to use the Twin Sage Glintstone crown. It has some of the highest buffs to intelligence in the game out of any armor related piece, and that's exactly why we want to use it. Unfortunately, it has a trade-off, and in return it will take a cut from your stamina and HP. But we will pick up something later to compensate for it. Also, if the Carian Knight set is forcing you into a heavy load state, then you might want to invest a point or two into endurance. If you don't want to do that, then I got a great alternative solution for you later in this video as well. So now that we have decent gear that's going to give us more survivability and a boost to our intelligence, it's time to upgrade our spells. If you remember the first part, then you would know that we had a good selection of powerful spells, but they were mostly early game spells, and it's time to take it to the next level. Thankfully, there is an extremely powerful spell not too far away from the Raya Lucaria Academy. It's located in the Academy Crystal Cave right here, and you'll have to enter it with 2 stone sword keys. Those keys are really easy to get, so don't worry about it. A lot of merchants and their mothers sell you one, and you get one back in the cave as well, by the way. After you complete the cave, you can take the elevator to go to the top, and you'll find the Terra Magicus spell. And this buffs you and increases your damage output with a crazy 35% increase as long as you stay in this area. It's definitely a major pickup. Next up, you want to get the Academy Scroll. If you haven't gotten it yet, you can pick it up right here. Turn it in at your favorite teacher, and you will get 2 variations of your Glintstone Pebble spell. A mini version and a larger version basically. Even though the mini version, the Swift Glintstone Shard, doesn't look impressive at all, let's be honest, it looks very boring actually. But it's actually very good. It casts really fast and it's very FP efficient, which means you can use it to kill off a lot of mobs from a distance without wasting too much FP. More importantly though, you can use it to stagger some enemies as well while you chain cast, which due to its fast casting speed makes it a lot easier to do so. Finally, you can also weave it in for clutch kills when the enemy is mid-attack, for example, and you don't have enough time to cast one of the spells that have a longer casting duration. So definitely pick it up. So we have all these spells now, the ones that we picked up last time and the ones that we just picked up, but we still missed something, right? Maybe something like a piercing beam that obliterates anything and everything in its path. Well, yeah, let's get that right away. For this we want to go to Azer, a mage that you can find right here. He's in the Mount Gelmir area. Go through the Hermit village for this, and there will be a boss fight just in front of him. Kill the boss and you will get a free memory stone as well. Then talk to Azer. He will just act all mysterious and won't say anything, but he will in fact give you the Azer's Comet spell, and this spell is complete madness, so you definitely want to go out of your way to get to this place. And there are also other powerful spells that we want to pick up. But before we do that, we first want to do 2 things. With Azer's Comet, if you equip it, you will see that it takes 3 memory slots. So we want to get some more memory slots now, and we want to change up our Flask as well. In the first part we got up to 7 memory slots, and the boss we just killed to get to Azer brings us to 8. And there are 2 more memory slots to get in the open world. First one will be at Testu's Rise right here on the map. You'll have to do the turtles mini quest again like last time. You have to kill 3 turtles that have been spawned around the tower. And then you can enter the tower and climb to the top to get the memory stone. The other memory slot will be found at Lenny's Rise in the Kaled region, all the way to the east. When you arrive here, you'll see one of those jump things that you can use while you're mounted. So do that and it will launch you in the sky, and with a bit of skillful aiming you will be able to make it to the ledge. Go to the chest and then loot the 10th memory stone, and now we've gotten all the memory stones in the world, and we will have plenty of slots to have a good variety of powerful spells. For our Flask we really want to pick up the Cerulean Hidden Tier in Mount Gelmir as well, not too far away from Azer actually. You have to defeat a boss right next to the minor air tree for this, right here on the map. Kill the ulcerated tree spirit and you will get the Cerulean Hidden Tier. This thing is amazing in combination with our new Azer's Comet spell. We basically can cast it for free for 10 entire seconds, and a lot of destruction can be done in those 10 seconds. And that's also exactly what the Cerulean Hidden Tier does. It reduces the FP cost of any spell to 0 for 10 seconds basically, and therefore it's really a powerful Flask in combination with certain spells. What do we sacrifice for it though in the mix? Do we remove the Opaline Bubble Tier or the boost to intelligence? It's hard to say honestly. I personally did remove the Opaline Bubble Tier though, just for the reason that when I use the Flask I always want to do it with Azer's Comet, so the bubble from Opaline Bubble Tier might not always be relevant, as we will be destroying our enemy before they even get the chance to touch us in a lot of cases. But it's 100% up to you. If you prefer the survivability from the bubble, then definitely go and keep that and just remove the boost to intelligence. Whatever mix you use, they are both gonna be great. Now that we have our Flask and memory slots up to date, it's time to proceed forward with getting more great spells. For the following spells you will have to complete various quests though. One is Ranni's quest chain and the other is Gauri's quest line. Start off with Gauri because it's much shorter, you can find him here. And you can also do this a bit earlier, by the way, in the game, because the intelligence cost for the spell that we will get from him is not too high. Basically, you need to go cure someone for him, and it doesn't really take long at all to do this quest. When you finish, he will be open to teach you various spells, and the one that we are interested in is the Night Maiden's Mist spell, so get that. And this spell is a lot of fun to use and it's great as well. It's basically an AoE damage over time type of spell, making it one of the more unique spells in the game. Especially if you are above a group of enemies, you can cast the spell and it will slowly take them all down. While you can just sit back, grab something to eat, relax and watch the show. You can also use it for controlling zones, by the way, and just kill mobs and bosses slowly without you being in a lot of risk, as you don't need to keep casting and thus are not locked in casting animations. The other spells we want to pick up come from Rennie's quest chain. It's a pretty long quest chain, so definitely be prepared, but it rewards you with a lot of mage related stuff, and it's also just a really cool quest chain, so you will want to do it at some point. Without giving too many spoilers, but most importantly, you will get Adula's Moonblade when you kill a certain dragon somewhere near the end of the quest, which is essentially the Carrion Greatsword but on steroids. Next to its large sweeping radius, it has an AoE of frost damage that goes beyond the swing of the sword, and this spell applies frostbite as well. What more could you possibly want, right? Swap out the Carrion Greatsword for Adula's Moonblade, and now we have a much stronger version of it. Now that we have a bunch of spells and our selection of spells has been upgraded, let's talk about our talismans. So we picked up two pretty great talismans at the academy, the Radican Icon and the Graven School Talisman. Use both of these, they are staples pretty much. Depending on where you are in the game, you might have 3 talisman slots or 4, so I will provide you with several really good options. First of all, during Rennie's quest chain, you will somewhere halfway through the chain be able to pick up the Stargazer Heirloom, which gives a whopping +5 intelligence buff. It's a very nice option. You can also get Erdree's Favor Talisman. It's near the starting area actually. You will need 2 stone sword keys to open the cave, and after you complete it, you will get the talisman that will provide you a nice little buff to HP, stamina and equip load. And finally, a talisman I really like is the Radicon Sorceries Talisman. This talisman can be found right here in Fort Ferret. When you get to this place, the mobs are going to be very aggressive, so you will want to skip it all and just run to the end. Climb up the ladder, then run some more down to the hole, and then jump right to this sneaky area right here, and you will find this talisman right there. Now this talisman gives you +5 in strength, dexterity, endurance and vigor. Now that might seem weird for a mage, but honestly it's really good, as we get about +15 in points that we can actually use. Endurance gives us more stamina and makes it so that we can chain more spells in succession without having to slow down. And remember what I said about the Carrion Knight set? It also makes our equip load larger, so we can wear armor with higher defensive stats while staying in the medium load category. Dexterity makes us cast faster, and vigor is just a bunch of more health, which is always nice, and strength is useless for us, but perhaps you like using swords, so it will open up more possibilities in that regard. But just for the +15 in relevant stats, it's a really nice pickup, especially if you already have 60 intelligence, as intelligence starts giving diminishing returns after you have 60 points in it. And now instead of that, our character gets a well-rounded point distribution in various stats that will help out a lot. The talisman does have a trade-off. It lets you take increased damage basically, but people did the maths and the damage increase that you get from the talisman is offset by the vigor that you get from the talisman. Now that our character is really getting there, we have one more very important aspect that defines all of us mages that we still need to talk about: our staff, or more in general, our weapons. If you aren't around level 50 yet, then don't worry about it, keep using the meteorite staff till that point. After that, the meteorite staff's main disadvantage becomes noticeable. If you remember, we can't upgrade the meteorite staff, so at some point it is going to get outscaled, and that point is somewhere around level 50 I would say, but it also depends on how you have allocated your points and how far you are in the story. But at this point in the game, the meteorite staff will have 3 potential competitors that will all outscale the meteorite staff with investments. We're talking here about the Acer Glintstone staff that we picked up in the academy, the Regal Carrion Scepter that you can get after defeating the second boss in the academy and then turning your remembrance that you get from her in at the creepy NPC at the round table. And finally you have the Lucet staff that you can get in Celia, the town of sorcery, by defeating the boss that is behind the sealed gates. Now all of these staffs have something unique. The Acer Glintstone staff casts slightly faster than the other staffs but costs around 22% more FP. The Lucid staff deals 10% more damage, but costs around 50% more FP, and the Regal Carrion Scepter has no trade-off and boosts full moon sorcery spells. These staffs will start outscaling the Meteorite staff when you have upgraded them to around +7, so keep that in mind. If you have the Somber Smithing Stones for it, then definitely do it, as the more upgrades you give to the staff, the larger the gap will become between the new staff and the Meteorite staff. Now, which of the three should you actually use? Well, it's gonna depend on personal taste, I think, but I don't think the Lucid staff is really worth it. The trade-off seems not good enough to justify the additional FP cost. I think I just generally don't like the additional FP cost that you need, because at no point thus far in the entire game did I feel like my damage wasn't enough, or where a slightly faster cast would have changed a lot. But I've ran out of FP plenty of times at moments where I really didn't want to drink a flask. Also keep in mind that we still have the Radicon Icon Talisman, which already makes us cast faster as well. So my preference goes out to the Regal Carrion Scepter, since having no compromise just feels good, and you also get the full moon sorcery bonuses, which is also nice, and when you have it, try getting it to +7 as soon as possible and beyond to really start feeling that power spike. Now, what are we going to do with the Meteorite staff? Are we really going to just throw it away after all our adventures together? The answer to that question is no, of course not. We're going to transcend and become the ultimate mage and dual wield staffs. Equip the Meteorite staff in your left slot, and there we have it. Out of all the things that you can do, why would you want to do this? Well, the Meteorite staff has a passive effect that we just can't ignore. It's crazy good, it's 30% extra damage to crafty spells, and our Rock Fling is a staple spell in our selection and is going to be relevant the entire game. So we definitely do not want to sacrifice that additional damage that we get from the Meteorite staff. And if you equip it in your left hand, and this applies to everything by the way, you will still get its passive bonus. And now with a stronger staff in our main hand, we are unstoppable. Now with your Flask, Terra Magicus, Acer's Comet and all the other upgrades, you can one-shot a lot of enemies, including bosses. You can even one-face bosses that are meant to have multiple faces. That's how crazy strong it is. For targets that are really aggressive and do not give you the time to cast Acer's Comet, you still have Rock Sling that will just melt through HP bars at any time. And then for long distance burst, we also have Loretta's Bow. For weaving, staggering and just fast casting spells, we have the Swift Glintstone Shard. And for slowly, reliably obliterating groups of enemies and zone controlling, we have Night Maiden's Mist. Then we also have this badass Adula's Moonblade now and the Carrion Slicer. Melee variations of spells that will just slice and destroy anything that's near you. And all of that supported by various upgrades in your gear and equipment. As we move forward through the mid game towards the late game, our build has now become even stronger and more powerful. There is still more to the mage build, however. We're talking about optimization and the best possible build and gear that you'll want to use very late in the game to destroy anything and everything, no matter how big the challenge is. Therefore this build will get one more follow up for the late game and end game. So subscribe for that to not miss out on that, like the video, that would help out a lot, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.